I'm Bob Calvert. I'm the District Governor-elect for District 9830 down here in what we call Rotary, Tasmania. I will be sharing this presentation with my trainer, Mike Patton, who also happens to be District Governor nominee following me in the following year. Now, we've shown throughout history that we excel at finding new ways to lead the world by lasting change. This priority builds on those strengths. We need to look at how we can adapt more quickly to a changing world, how new perspectives can strengthen Rotary, and what new ideas could create lasting change. We must be prepared and ready to seek out fresh opportunities, create more paths for service, open up our conversations to diverse voices and genders, and simply how we operate. And I think that's been very much covered in so many of the topics we've had in the other three priorities and objectives. There is no doubt that at this time, whilst we transgress the world of COVID, past, present, and the future, that we need to look inwards at our clubs and outwards at our locales to foster our ability to adapt. So I'm looking at the next screen, but I can't see it, Matt. There we go. And the next one, thanks. I'm not sure what's happened there. Thank you. Right. So let's look at how we can adapt faster to a changing world, how we can have new perspectives to strengthen Rotary, and what new ideas could create lasting change. But whilst we look at that, we should look at the why, the what, and the how, remembering the how will be your challenge. So let's look at the why. Baby boomers. Now, these figures are taken from all of our combined districts right across Victoria and Tasmania. They represent a sample of some 4,300 registered Rotarians in my Rotary across those districts, representing some 52% of the Rotarians of 8,300. So this is just a big plug for a start. Please ensure your members register themselves in my Rotary. And if nothing else, ask them just include their year of birth, because these sorts of figures we need to be able to work cohesively to find out better ways and improving our abilities to manage where we go in the future. So 77% of those figures, which is about 3,300, are aged baby boomers, we call ourselves 58 plus. Who are they? They're comfortable, they're committed, they maybe have been in Rotary for a hell of a long time, but they may not be willing or able to easily accept change. Let's look at the next group, the Gen X, the age 42 to 57. If you remember back in Amanda's slides, she had that sort of those groups that are very willing to get out and do volunteering. We call them the Generation X. They represent around 800 of the members in our combined districts. They can be results driven. They certainly have now an understanding of work-life balance. They like to get in, work and get out, and they're more willing and able to easily accept change and embrace change. And then look at the next lot, the Gen Y, the millennials, those ones that we're really sort of focusing on for the future, the Rotarians and members of the future for Rotary. They're aged in that 28 to 41. They can be outspoken. They certainly know where they're going in life. They're carefree. They have a very strong work-life community, self-kind type balance, again, as what was mentioned before by Amanda. They have a strong understanding of the need for work and creating quality, productivity-driven results, as well as maintaining a very strong social life outside of work. Only 5% that represent 220 out of that 4,000 odd members that are registered in my Rotary. So that is the why. Now let's look at the what. What do we all need? We all want a stronger, more effective Rotary. When a Rotary that's more inclusive, if we've talked about before, and open to fresh faces and fresh ideas. New approaches to our organising principles just won't threaten a sense of who we are. We still have that underpinning values of what Rotary is. The how. Just imagine how we can adapt faster to this changing world that we live in today. Go back to your clubs and challenge the common phrase, well, it's always the way we have done it. How often do we hear that? Challenge yourself to step outside the club's comfort zone and encourage club membership to embrace change through club planning or club visioning. You can call it what you like. Maybe visioning is a bit of an old hack word, but certainly it's something that's worthwhile thinking about. Just imagine how new perspectives can strengthen Rotary. They encourage and allow the buy-in that younger generations recognise and want to be part of. Haven't we heard that as a theme through the whole of this last day and a half? They provide a platform for new ideas and faster implementation and allow us to appeal to Rotary to appeal to a much broader membership opportunity. And just imagine what new ideas could create lasting change. Set smaller and achievable goals so you can monitor your progress in your clubs. Vary the club meetings, locations and times, and hasn't that been something that's been happening over the last 18 months? Try out new activities and ideas to encourage participation and appeal to a wider audience. And look at the club governance structure. Does it encourage participation? Have a look at what your bylaws state. Do they need a scrub up? Do they need a change? Do they need improving? Do they need to be brought forward with the new ideas and things of that nature? Now, I'd like to introduce, coming through, Mike Patton, if Matt, we can get Mike up. And just in finishing, we need to continually strive to be inventive. We need to be entrepreneurial and resilient. We've got to look at new approaches to our organising principles that won't threaten our sense of who we are and what we do and what we're seen to be doing. So with that now, I'll just pass over to DGN Mike to give an example, a case study of what has been done in his club to make change. Thanks, Mike.
Hi, so my club is the Rotary Club of Lindisfarne in Hobart, and we were in a bit of a rut and declining in membership. When we got down to 18 members, we decided that we need to make some changes to increase our appeal to a wider portion of the community. We started with some small changes to how we ran our meetings. Then, to increase our profile in our community, we changed our focus from fundraising just to distribute to others and started looking for projects that our members would support and then fundraising to make those projects happen. This saw us establishing strong links with our local neighbourhood house and the nearby school, where we undertook hands-on construction projects. We also found 2 overseas projects that were important to our members. The next step was to better publicise what we were doing in the press and on social media. We identified a need to attract more female members and more younger members, but we soon realised that there was a need for a breakfast club in our area. From that realisation, developed a plan to establish a breakfast satellite club for young professionals in our area. The whole club also worked very hard to increase membership of our evening club. Everybody is on greeting duty when new members arrive, and every new member has a mentor who works with them when they first join. Our focus on attracting new members started to take on a life of its own. Not only were members bringing along friends, but people were contacting us on our webpage and on Facebook asking to join us. We even had people approaching us at events wanting to join. Although being limited in what we could do because of COVID, we continued to recruit new members. Our satellite club grew to 15 members, all under 40, and became involved in a whole new range of social welfare projects in our area. Bob, can we move to the next slide?
Yeah,
please?
no, sorry, Matt, it's not working. Mate, can you just flick to the next slide, please? Thank you.
So our evening club doubled in size from 18 to 36, including 3 under 40s. 2 years later, we had a total of 50 members and we were a much more diverse club. We had a 600% increase in female membership, and there were now 4 females on our board and 4 others on the Satellite Club committee. 9 recent immigrants joined us, shared between the 2 groups. 2 who joined our evening club had young children who often came to our meetings. With 18 members under 40, our members are nearly 1/3 of the under 40s in District 9830. Our new members range in age from 18 to 82, and our club average age dropped by 20 years.
Thanks, Matt.
We're particularly proud of our satellite club, Clarence Sunrise. They were launched with 8 members in October 2020, which is the bottom right-hand slide, and they now have 15 members. They can be seen in these pictures involved in Clean Up Australia, keeping our local events COVID safe, and collecting food for homeless people. The original members of our evening club often comment about the buzz they now feel at our meetings and how much they enjoy interacting with our new members. As a club, we're reaping the rewards of increasing our ability to adapt.
Thank you, Mike. The guiding principles that underpin Rotary's future is to ensure our members, both existing and new, are captured by the first 3 tenets. We've heard that already before. Welcomed, respected and valued. And the second 3 tenets, which have come out through Jennifer Jones' drivers, and that is the diversity, equity, inclusion. As Jennifer mentioned, members both young and old need to be kept involved and at a level to be made to feel wanted and encouraged to participate. RI surveys across the world tell us that members have left Rotary because of the first, club environment. So ask yourself, is it fair to all concerned? Are your members attracting and encouraging those that are walking in the door, that they are so welcomed, respected and valued? What's the club environment like? Who sits in the one seat all the time? Who always sit together? These sorts of things you need to take off the rose-coloured glasses and have a look at. The second one in the RI surveys was unmet expectations. Have the members been mentored or asked how they feel? The third one was cost and or time. So what is their level of well-being? Is there something the club could be doing differently to keep them engaged? Can the club offer more flexibility and of all of those things? Both the tenets support and strengthen each other. You would agree that one cannot function without the other either. They intertwine for the betterment of a club's functionality. Thank you, Matt. Please utilise these plethora of materials that is available in my Rotary. Thought provokers and drivers for the ability to adapt. Now we head out into our breakout sessions. So when you were going out, we'll be asking you to think about those questions that are on there. How can we entice, involve the younger generations to join Rotary? And the second question, how can we encourage existing members to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion into our clubs? Maybe it's only going to be small steps, but it's a long journey. So off we go into the breakout sessions, and we'll welcome you back in the allotted time after the next 20 minutes. Thank you very much. Okay, well, welcome back, everybody. You can all hear me, hopefully. Okay, so the questions. How can we entice, involve the younger generations to join Rotary, and how can we encourage existing members to embrace diversity, equity, inclusion in our clubs? So I think we will just break out now to the facilitators. First one I'll ask is Peter Fitzgerald. Peter is from the District 9830, and he is also a member of that club at Lindisfarne that DG and Mike spoke about. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, look, in Group 12, yes, I had the benefit, obviously, of being involved in the Lindisfarne Club and could relate very much to what Mike was talking about. But within our group, there were some very interesting thoughts being around about this whole thing. And the club, it showed that the clubs are very much focusing on this enticing and involving. You know, Bendigo South, for instance, they're exploring the concept of a Saturday morning satellite club, knowing that, you know, maybe Saturday mornings that there might be an opportunity. So they're in the early stages of exploring that. Diamond Creek was wonderful. They've had 6 new members under 30 join, and all of them have been participants in RILA. So they've followed up on those people, they've kept in contact with them, they've kept them involved, and have been able to successfully convert them to members. You know, fabulous idea. Too often we let the alumni, you know, slide by and lose all contact with them. They also have changed their meeting format, that they in fact do only fortnightly face-to-face. And on the other week, they do a Zoom meeting. So they're still meeting weekly, but they're alternating between Zoom and face-to-face, again, to try and broaden their appeal. The Kingston Club are partnering with Sea Scouts to get some involvement there. And they're also running a local fun run, again, targeting sort of younger people and getting the Rotary name out there. The Mount Eliza Club are involved in this massive project of the Peninsula Bay Trail. And they're doing a lot of work with getting the schools involved and things. And the point that they really focused on is that younger generation, and it was made a little earlier, really love the environment and really love getting involved in things around the environment. And so they see the environment as being a key of getting younger people involved. Moona Club are doing work with the Story Project. Story Dog Project of taking a dog into schools that is branded with Rotary and really promoting the Rotary connection. That's not just about the students, but it's as much as anything about the teachers. They're younger people, they're young professional people, and it's about them getting involved. So there were just some great ideas that came out from the members of Group 12, and thank them all for their participation.
Thank you, Peter. We'll move straight on now for the benefit of time to District 9720, Stephen O'Connell.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm actually District 97, I know.
Sorry.
That's okay. So just with the principles of being welcomed, respectful and valued, we talked through the first question, and what did come up fairly regularly was the value of interact clubs, which is a good way to actually get people involved, particularly when it's combined later with Rotaract clubs. And a common theme that arose throughout our days in the last 2 days is the importance of the environment to young people, and that we should really be looking at that. Another thing that was raised, although it doesn't exist anymore, which is group study exchange. One of the participants mentioned that that's the reason she's involved in Rotary now. And we see that often with youth exchange as well. The suggestion was that perhaps there could be a local version of group study exchange as a way to engage more people. The alumni issue was raised as well. And hello, Nathan at Diamond Creek. We know that Nathan is one of the people that came back through, he wasn't in my meeting, but he's been very, very active in the last couple of days, and he's a good example of what can occur. The last thing that I'd like to raise now is one of the participants raised the notion of getting interactors to a Rotary Club meeting and having the Rotary Club members ask questions of the interactors so that they could better understand the needs and desires of the younger people in the room, which we thought was a terrific idea. So that's that for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. The takeouts from there: RILA, alumni, environment, local GSC, and interact. And I think that's interesting, because when our breakout session with the district governor-elect, we talked about alumni, we talked about RILA and so forth, and interact. That's terrific. The second question now: how can we encourage existing members to embrace diversity, equity, inclusion in our clubs? And I will pass straight over to Tim Wills from District 9820. I hope I got that one right.
You certainly did. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
The first comment to be made is probably that we're not looking for members. We're looking for Rotarians, and to keep that in mind. We can engage with members as individuals or as small groups and regularly check on what are they in Rotary for? What is it they want to get from it? And then what can they do? And build on that so that people feel that they have a stake. That can be guided discussions, of course, with an end in mind. The knife and forkers and the social members. Engage to find ways that the social can be expanded and be used to reach out to other groups. In a previous discussion, we had a club talked about going out to Somali restaurants, for example, just as something different to do. Well, that sort of thing could be built upon in various ways, even if only passively initially, and then from there. Clubs, a lot of clubs just appoint directors and appoint chairs and say, well, you do it. We don't have to do anything. One club has divested some responsibilities to groups. All members are allocated to a group, in this club's case about 8, and they're allocated 2 months each, and they are responsible for the programs for those 2 months. If they don't organise something, then nothing happens, and they can explain to the members why not. Well, that sort of approach could be used in so much other engagements with service work, with engagement with other people. It's very difficult to get members to speak about their kids and their grandkids. I'm sure everybody realises that. Just doesn't happen much. So expand upon that and get them to talk about and investigate the networks of their children and their grandchildren, and how could Rotary engage with those, both in terms of support, but also in terms of working with them to encourage involvement. And then one question that did come up, which is a real conundrum: what do you do with the pay but no show members who think that that's enough? We didn't really have an answer for that, but what it did raise was a question on the referrals. What do you do for the people who love to show up?
I've lost him.
You've lost me.
Yeah, we've just got you back
Just
now,
got you
I
back.
think.
So the last question was the pay no show. The reverse of that is, what about the people that would love to show but really have the difficulty in paying? And that's an area, one of the things with is volunteering and insurance. Now, there are ways around that and there are appropriate procedures that probably should be communicated again, just back up with clubs so they know how they can safeguard their volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much for those very, very prominent points. And the last from District 9810, Trish Carr. Are you there, Trish?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Bob.
Excellent.
We had quite a few clubs, a great group, and quite a few clubs that came from some more remote areas where their closest club was 50 kilometres away, which makes things a little bit different, or smaller communities. But they were all united in one way in the process of trying to adapt, or at different stages of adapting change. The thought was that to survey members, to the existing members, to ask them for their opinion. So ensure communication. Another great idea was to find out what your local or your current members are passionate about and engage them in a common goal with other groups, which would help them adapt and embrace that change. Because if they know that there's another group somewhere that is maybe a bit more diverse, that has the same common goal, then that would assist them in accepting some change. The other issues they were encountering were considering trying to support the cost of the economic pressures, particularly that COVID has created. So to answer one of the previous comments about the pay no show or no money people, was to maybe think about assisting with an associate Rotarian membership type situation where it's a step up to getting them into Rotary by having them as associate members. Alumni came up for us as well. But one of the important things I think was said was bringing things back to the basics, the four-way test, and explaining to members and discussing with them openly that change is beneficial. It's to all, and it's great to connect and breathe new life into our four-way test so that we can accept diversity and equity and inclusion much easier. So basically say, what's our end goal and how do we continue to keep that going rather than stifle it?
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very, very much, Trish. Some excellent feedback. And the takeouts there, looking for Rotarians, not just members, going into areas for diverse groups, restaurants and so forth. The whole thing about cost, and that's where I led in before. We talk about, look at your club's flexibility. Look at different ways that you can manage that better to assist and support those members. And the last one with the four-way test. And when the forefathers put that up as a four-way test, it's so embracing. It absolutely captures everything. Is it fair to all concerned? The first leading one. So with that, look, I'd just like to say thanks to DG and Mike for assisting me with this presentation. Thank you for staying on for the long haul and just thinking about how you will encourage your club members to identify barriers that currently prevent younger or more diverse potential members from joining. All of those things